Yo, what's up guys, your favorite YouTuber is back, and like you saw in the thumbnail, today's video is about how to never go bald. This video is not about how to style your hair because as you can see, I don't really know how to style my hair. But this video is about how you would never lose the hair, so you would always have hair growing from your head. So both my parents actually lost quite a lot of hair in their young age. I'm not going to be attaching photos about this, but that made me a little concerned about my own hair, so I did a lot of research on my own. Now I know that I'm currently only 20 years old and I might be a little too young to be making a video about this because I don't really have any hair loss. But I know a bunch of people who are around my age and they have already started to lose a lot of hair, and there are people who are around 25 years old and they've lost a good amount of hair. So this is an important topic. Now I know that there are a bunch of people out there in the world who like to say that hair doesn't matter and it's all about your skills and personality and stuff like that. But that's all cope. For those of you who don't know, recently in India, there was a girl who killed the man who she was going to marry just because he was bald. Now, obviously, your wife may not kill you if you start balding, but she's still going to lose some respect for you. Now, I'm not justifying her actions, but it's our responsibility to do everything that we can in order to keep our hair. And people treat us very differently depending on how much of hair we have. And subconsciously, it is much harder to trust bald people. And especially at old age, if you have a full head of hair, then people will respect you much more. Now, almost everyone says that balding is genetic, but when they use the word genetic, what they're actually saying is that you cannot do anything about it and you have to live with it for the rest of your miserable life. Mentioning the word genetics is simply a waste of time. On this channel, we don't do that. On this channel, we do everything that we can in order to maximize every aspect of our life in every way possible. Genetics might make things easier or harder, but at the end, it's obviously going to be your lifestyle that decides what's going to happen to you. And we keep seeing examples of people who have bald parents, but they themselves have a full head of hair. So it is possible. Now, people keep giving the normal advice that don't take stress, don't apply a bunch of products, don't wash your hair regularly, apply oil on your hair, and a bunch of other stuff. But these things are very general and many times they don't even necessarily work. Now, of course, stress messes up your hormones. It's just bad in general. There is no benefit to it. If you have a bunch of tasks pending, you can write them down and complete them one by one. And especially as a male, completing tasks can feel really good. It could feel like a mission. It could feel like you're playing a game. And it's all about how you think about it. So completing tasks one by one can feel very good. And you can be just as productive, if not more, by noting down your tasks and completing them. You don't complete a task by stressing. You complete a task by doing the task. And no one really likes being around a stressed person anyway. So it's your choice. You want to be stressed or you want to actually complete the tasks and keep your hair. So in this video, I'll tell you a bunch of things which you would have never heard about. And if you know me, you would know that I give only the advice that actually works. So let's just get started. Now, the first reason due to which people actually go bald is nutrient deficiencies. Now, the thing with nutrient deficiencies is that you won't just die if you're not getting the right amount of nutrition. Your body would simply just prioritize other things. So if you take a look at a typical malnourished person, they would all obviously have weaker bones and muscles. They'll also not necessarily have good hair, good skin, good nails. So they're still living, but the nutrition that they're getting is not enough. So most of it is going to their brain and heart and things that actually need it. It's not really going to their hair and skin and nails. And being deficient in nutrients is so common, and it has a bunch of other side effects as well. And these side effects are so common that almost the entire world has it and they don't even know about it. Now, when I talk about nutrient deficiencies, the first thing that probably comes to your mind is going to be protein. Now, protein is important, but it's not as important as one more thing which I'm going to be talking about in this video. And it is something that I can guarantee that each and every one of you who's watching this video is going to be deficient in it. And that is vitamin D. And I'm mentioning vitamin D first because it is the most important factor when it comes to hair loss, when it comes to a bunch of other things as well. And it is just not emphasized enough. So throughout history, humans actually lived outdoors quite a lot. Now, in the modern world, we spend almost our entire day indoors. I should have been making this video outdoors, honestly. I was planning to make it, but there was just too much disturbance. There are a bunch of cars. There's a bunch of traffic. Out here in India, the population is too much. There is just no way I can make this video outside, but I was initially planning to make it outside. But anyway, in the modern world, people barely go outside, and even when they do go outside, they apply sunscreen. Now, sunscreen is a big scam. If you want, I would make another video on that. But sunscreen doesn't really prevent skin cancer. If anything, it may even increase the chance of you getting skin cancer, and it just does more harm than good. So there's just no reason to be using sunscreen at all. Do comment down below if you want me to make a different video on that. But anyway, I want you to think of hair in a different way. I wanted to question it. So, why do we have hair in the first place? What do you think the reason could be? The main purpose of hair is probably to protect your head from the bright sunlight, right? What else could it be? It's like a natural cap that you are growing on your head, right? Now, if you are not getting enough sunlight in the first place, there is just no reason to be wearing this cap all the time, right? So your body naturally starts to lose the hair. And this is probably why you barely ever get to see a homeless person who's balding. And this is also why we see that curly haired people bald faster. So this is a trend going around social media quite often. So people keep saying that curly haired people bald faster, and we barely ever see a person in his late 30s or 40s or 50s having curly hair and still not balding. So why do you think your hair curls up? What could be the reason for the hair curling up? So that is mainly to cover more surface area, right? Because your body expects you to be outdoors even more. It is expecting even more sunlight to be hitting your head. So if you have curly hair, you are actually expected to be outdoors even more, but you're not able to meet that requirement. It's harder to meet a harder requirement, right? And that's why curly haired people bald faster. Now, this concept of sunlight hitting your scalp is not very common as of now. I heard about it for the first time from a YouTuber called as Austin Wayne, and he is also a model, but he for some reason promotes this pale look. So he says that we should avoid the sun because it ages us. But he made a video about hair loss in which he mentioned that even though sun ages you, it's still going to help you keep a full head of hair. It's still going to prevent balding. It's still going to reduce the amount of hair fall that you have. Now, before you guys start saying that, Mudit, this concept of sunlight hitting your scalp is not really scientifically proven yet, and there are no studies showing this, do you still believe in studies? It's 2026. By now, you should have realized that almost all the studies that you've ever seen were fake. They were all sponsored by companies which have their own motives. Now, me telling you to go out in the sun is free, right? You don't have to spend even a little bit of money. You just have to go out in the sun. That's it. I don't earn from that. The billion-dollar industry of hair loss doesn't earn from that. If anything, they are losing business. Do you really think that if a study showed that being in the sun can reduce your hair loss, you think it'll be allowed to be published this easily? You think the hair industry would allow it to get published without interfering in it? You guys have no idea about how, using money and power, so many studies were just not allowed to get published, and so many studies were modified. That's why doing the research for these videos is very difficult. And in the previous videos, I used to always mention the links of the studies that I'm citing. But now onwards, I'm not going to be doing that. You either believe what I say or you continue to live the way you're living already and be happy. Now, coming back to vitamin D, sunlight is not the only source of vitamin D. You can get vitamin D from your foods as well. It is found almost only in animal-based foods. So if you take a look for yourself, vegetarians and vegans would almost always have more hair loss as compared to someone who eats meat. And being deficient in vitamin B12 is also going to cause more hair loss. So being a vegan is extremely and I also made a video on the carnivore diet. So do check it out. The link is in the description. And try to eat as much meat as you can. Drink as much milk as you can. You can eat a few fruits here and there, but most of your diet should be animal based. And there are also theories about how high calorie and high carbohydrate rich foods speed up hair loss. So plant based foods are almost always higher in calories and carbohydrates as compared to animal based foods for the same amount of protein. And in general, a vegetarian or a vegan person is always fatter with less muscle. Even if they weigh the same, they probably have lesser muscle and more fat as compared to someone who eats meat. Now, vitamin D actually dissolves in your fat. So if you're fat, you should be spending even more time outdoors. You should not just lose weight, but you should also spend more time in the sun, because most of the vitamin D that you are getting is going to be dissolved in your fat. If you're fat in 2026, where did you go wrong? By now, the steps are straightforward. You just have to eat less and exercise more. Eat more animal-based foods. That's going to make things easier. And also, people with darker skin don't really absorb the vitamin D as well as people with lighter skin do. And there is some scientific reason behind it, some melanin and stuff. But basically, if you have darker skin, you should spend more time outdoors. But out here in India, darker skin is not really respected as much. And that's why people who do have darker skin avoid the sun even more because they think that staying in the sun would make the skin even darker. That actually makes their hair even worse. I think that as long as you avoid the afternoon's bright sun, you should be fine. The morning and evening's sun would not do much to your skin, and you would only see the benefits of it. And also, new theories and independent studies are also showing that you don't get skin cancer by simply going in the sun. You get skin cancer by consuming a bunch of seed oils and then going in the sun. If you don't consume oils at all, if you simply eat only butter and ghee, you'll be fine. You can spend your entire day in the sun and you'll be fine. Seed oils are one of the things ever. If you want, I would make a video on that as well. I was planning to make one, but most people are already quite aware about it, I guess. So I didn't think that it was that urgent to make that video. But butter and ghee is simply just milk, and that has been demonized quite a lot by saying stuff like cholesterol and stuff. It's a big scam. I've made a video on cholesterol as well. You can check it out. The link will be in the description. And consuming butter and ghee does not make you fat. I consume the most amount of butter and ghee. I consume more than 3 full families eat in a full week, and I eat that in one day. And look at how lean I am. Look at how smooth and strong my bones and joints are. Both of my grandparents have been scared of butter and ghee their whole life because they have been told these lies about cholesterol. And quite long ago, they had to get knee surgeries done. Imagine getting a knee surgery. That is such an unnatural concept. Now, I'm not talking about getting a knee surgery because you got into some accident. I'm talking about getting a knee surgery just because you got a little older, you came to your 50s and 60s, and you realize that you can't really do a full squat. Your legs pain while doing basic day-to-day tasks like walking, and you start feeling a little bit of pain, and the pain starts to get a little unbearable, so you get a surgery. That is absolutely just train your legs regularly so that you always have the strength to do a proper body weight squat, and also eat a lot of butter and ghee so that your joints are well lubricated. And you don't really even get fat by eating a lot of butter and ghee. That's a big fake scam. I don't even really believe in the concept of calories. Calories is a fake concept. It has been put onto us. You can only get fat by eating too much of a few particular types of plant-based foods, and especially sugar and oils make you fat. You don't really get fat by eating animal-based foods at all. They make you feel full quite easily, and they often have a lot of protein, and you would not really get fat, honestly. You would only gain muscle. Your weight on the scale may be lesser if you're a vegan, but your muscle would also be lesser, right? So does it really mean anything? People who eat meat look stronger, they are stronger, and they are healthier on average. Now, coming back to sunlight, just stay out as much as you can. Also, one important thing is that sunlight coming through your window doesn't really count because the UVB rays get filtered out through the window, and the UVB rays are actually what's responsible for vitamin D production in your body. Now, vitamin D also boosts your immunity and hormones and stuff, so there is just no disadvantage to be just staying in the sun all day. It boosts your testosterone as well, and we all have lower testosterone as compared to what we should be having, so there is just no downside to being out in the sun all day, and there is no such thing as getting too much sunlight. Naturally, if you spend your entire day outdoors, you will still not be getting too much sunlight. There is no such thing as too much sunlight. Just avoid the afternoon's bright sun and you'll be fine. So that's basically it for vitamin D. Now let's talk about protein, especially out here in India. Now, India is one of the countries ever, and protein is considered to be out here. Now, Indian parents themselves take a bunch of supplements because their basic diet is not enough. And when their kid is going through puberty, they give them the same Indian diet that is mainly just plants and oil and like roti, sabji, dal, chawal, chole, puri and stuff. And they think that that's enough protein for their kids' growth during puberty. The simplest way to explain hair is protein. Hair is just basically a chunk of protein, a protein structure just coming out of your body. People think that protein is used just to grow your muscles, but protein is actually used for a bunch of other things, including your hair, your nails, your skin, and a bunch of other things. And the modern world has done their best to make you deficient in protein, but don't fall for that. A bunch of people are turning vegan as well, and plant-based protein sources are inferior to animal-based protein sources always. They are not absorbed as well. Take a look at bioavailability and stuff like that if you want. And you would have probably heard people saying that they eat like 100 grams of protein a day. That 100 grams, that number, that value, it doesn't really mean much by itself. It's a good estimate, but by itself, it doesn't really mean much because different sources of protein are absorbed differently by our body. Not everything is absorbed 100%. In fact, almost nothing is absorbed 100%. Different sources are absorbed differently. Animal based protein sources are absorbed better than plant based protein sources. So, that number, that 100 grams, is just an overall estimate. It's not a perfect indicator of how much protein you're actually absorbing. Now, I personally don't really like to track the macros. I just eat as much as I can till I'm full, and that's it. I try to eat more animal based foods and just eat like your ancestors. Your ancestors were never bald and they ate mostly animal based foods. If anyone still tells you that dal is a good source of protein in 2026, if someone still tells you that, just don't take them seriously at all. They don't know what they're talking about. They could be your family, your relatives, your friends. They could be someone you're close to, but still, just don't listen to their advice at all. They don't know what they're talking about. They're probably fat and it's people like them that end up taking a bunch of medicines just to live later on in their life. And that's not normal. You can live a perfectly healthy life. You can be old and you can live without having to take a bunch of medicines. Why take medicines? What's the benefit? What is the reason? What is the requirement for it? If you optimize your life perfectly, you should be able to live without medicines, without knee pain, without the typical wrinkly old age look. Now, I remember talking to my grandparents a few weeks ago, so I actually had to live with them. And I found out that they actually eat the same Indian foods like roti sabji, dal chawal, chole puri and stuff. They have no nutrition at all. So I tried to tell them to eat a little more nutritious food, but then they simply made fun of me. They said that everyone eats the way they eat and my diet is bad because eggs have cholesterol and stuff. You know, the random garbage that Indian uncles spit out of their mouths, right? So at first I tried convincing them, but it didn't really work. So I just told them that fine, okay, I'll make my own food. You make your own food and you all figure it out. I'll figure it out. That's it. Don't interfere. That's it. But then a few days passed and I actually had to go to their room for some work. So I saw that they had a table. Just imagine a small table, like slightly bigger than a laptop. And it was filled. And when I say filled, I mean genuinely filled to the top with medicines. So then I told them that you all are living on medicines. I don't want to be living the same way. I want to optimize my life in every way possible. So that's why when I say that something is healthy, when I've done the research myself, it's up to you that you want to take me seriously or not. You want to be like me or you want to be like the random old uncles who are wrinkly and they can't walk properly. They need to get surgeries and stuff. So I gave them a choice that they can either take my advice and become like me or they can continue to live the way they are living. But they just thought that I'm some immature person because they think that old age means you'll be wrinkly, you'll struggle to walk, you'll live on medicines, you will have knee pain. And that is just the normal old age. There is no other alternative. Old age is this. But it should click to you, right? Your natural instincts would tell you that old age is not supposed to look like this. If there are fit people in their old age, it could be you. Why are you having a knee surgery when there are old people who can run? But anyway, they told me that they are not all just medicines. They told me that a bunch of them are supplements. Now, what does a supplement mean? A supplement actually means that your diet is not giving you enough nutrition. So that's why you're taking it in the form of pills, right? Now, why is their basic food not giving them enough nutrition? And I was being fed the same food, right? You think someone like me is going to eat the same food as them and they are not getting enough nutrition from that food, so you think I would get enough nutrition? I do much more physical activity as compared to them, and younger kids are growing. They need even more nutrition, and the diet that is not giving enough nutrition to old people who are barely exercising, you think it's going to give enough nutrition to a growing kid? If you genuinely analyze the brain of older people, you'll realize that some people just cannot be saved. When I talk to older people, I realize that they have a lot of ego. Most of them just don't take my advice at all. Some of them do, but that's really rare because they are mostly inspired by my physical fitness and stuff, like looking at my parkour and my speed and strength. Younger people are almost always inspired. So when I go to any random park, a bunch of kids always get impressed by what stuff I can do. And if I tell them anything, they just follow me blindly, which is actually quite good because I always tell them the right things. I never lie. I always tell them what I genuinely do. I eat a bunch of eggs, I drink a lot of milk, and I train hard. I don't believe in walking. I don't believe in moderate jogging type exercises. I believe in training hard because when your body is pushed, that's when it's forced to grow. The body doesn't have to improve if it's doing what's easy. It only has to improve if it's doing what's hard, right? But anyway, I told you guys this story because I wanted to tell you about medicines, and medicines are absolutely They have no benefit. They only get rid of the symptom. They don't really tell you why the issue happened in the first place. When you take a medicine, you are trying to suppress the issue. You never actually found out that why the issue happened. You didn't do anything to the root cause. The root cause remains. And because the root cause remains, the issue will also eventually come back a few months or days or weeks later, right? It would come back eventually, right? Because the root cause is still there. Who knows what the root cause is? You never analyzed it. You just took a medicine. And you didn't even know that medicines have side effects as well. And many times these side effects include hair loss. No one really talks about it, but a bunch of medicines actually increase your hair loss and you go bald faster. There are a bunch of people who were having a full head of hair, but then they started taking some particular medicine in their 30s or 40s, and then they started to lose a lot of hair. And they think that it was aging, but actually it was because of the medicine. At a particular age, they started to take a medicine and then they started to lose hair. And they didn't even connect the dots that the medicine could have been causing the hair loss. They just thought that it was age and it was supposed to happen regardless. Anyway, there are a bunch of other nutrients as well, which when you're deficient in, it causes hair loss, like iron, zinc, and stuff. But I'm not going to go into details. The action that you need to take is the same. You just need to eat more animal-based foods. Don't fall for the normal vegan and vegetarian propaganda. That is all designed to keep you on medicines, to keep you on supplements. If you care about animals, the best thing that you can actually do is to eat one big animal. Because one big animal like a cow or a buffalo could actually feed you for like a year. And it's one death. I'll not talk too much about this in this video because this video is about hair loss and the video is already quite long and it's quite late right now. And I should be sleeping on time because I need to wake up in the morning to get my sunlight in. So apart from nutrition, people make a bunch of other mistakes as well. So they are sleep deprived, they smoke, they vape, they drink alcohol, and they use a bunch of products on their hair. Now the modern shampoos are very harsh on the hair. We should avoid them. And also washing your hair with warm water also dries up your hair and it makes it brittle. But these are all smaller factors. They don't really matter as much. Just avoid alcohol, smoking and vaping. They're all just addictions. They have no benefit at all. And also think before you put something on your hair. There are a bunch of people these days who are just not putting anything. They wash the hair with just water and they apply an egg once in a while. So I don't really know about that. I have experimented with washing my hair with just water for a few weeks and I don't really know about the experience. It was fine, it looked fine, but I don't know. I didn't do it for long enough to comment on it. But I can say that washing your hair with just water would feel a little itchy for a few days, but eventually your hair adapts to it, your body adapts to it, and you stop feeling itchy, and then your hair might feel better. But I never really tried applying eggs on my hair. And also, your hair should have air go through it. So you should not really have tight hairstyles. Now, I do a lot of running and I also many times drive without a helmet. Now, I know it's India. Nobody really cares about the law. We can drive without a helmet. If anything, I believe that it's safer because when you're driving without a helmet, the air is hitting directly onto your eyes. Unless you wear some specs. Okay, if you wear specs, it's different. I don't wear specs, so when I drive without the helmet, air directly hits my eyes, so I drive slower. And I drive slower, which means I'm driving safer most of the time, right? And also, when I'm not wearing a helmet, I can see wider, so I drive safer, right? Forget the law, use your own brain. What is safer, helmet or no helmet? But anyway, the normal shampoos actually also have a bunch of chemicals which affect your hormones, and also your sleep affects your hormones. So I forgot to mention, but you should be sleeping as close to sunset as possible and you should be waking up as close to sunrise as possible. Now, 8 hours a day is not necessarily what's required, but the sun is a much better indicator of how much of sleep you actually need. And my sleep is quite messed up. I'm not proud of it, but I have made some good progress in the past few days. But your hormones actually dictate a big part of your life. They control how you look, they control how you feel, they control what you think. And that basically means that your hormones are one of the most important things that you should be trying to optimize. And when you sleep properly, your hormones are proper. And when your sleep is bad, your hormones are bad, you develop bad. You see a bunch of men developing as women. That's probably because their hormones are messed up, right? I can guarantee that if they did everything that they could to optimize the hormones, then all the modern problems that you can see in them would not exist. But anyway, one interesting topic which I wanted to bring up is, does master cause hair fall? Now, honestly, I don't really encourage master, but I also don't really think it has anything to do with hair fall. If anything, it might actually lower your hair fall because it helps you relax and it lowers your stress hormones. Now, me saying this would actually result in a bunch of you starting to master right now. I don't encourage you to do that. And also, if you're doing it like 8 times a day, like some teenagers do, you're probably going to speed up your hair fall, if anything, right? But anyway, the effects of muscle are negligible. And in general, according to most wisdom, you should be doing it like once or twice a month. If you are doing it more often, you are probably addicted and you probably have nothing interesting going on in your life other than the few minutes of that you do. And that is actually quite sad. Imagine the best few moments of your day are a little bit of master. That is quite sad, honestly. And getting rid of an addiction directly never really works. An addiction happens when the rest of your life is boring and the addiction is the only activity that is fun. The best way to get rid of an addiction is to just stop focusing on it and improve every other aspect of your life first and make your life fun. And there are a few studies shown where rats were kept in a cage which was quite boring, and then they were given some addictive substance along with water, and they chose the addictive substance. They didn't drink water. But also a bunch of rats were kept in a cage which was having a lot of fun things to do, like imagine a typical amusement park. So they had a lot of fun in the cage itself, and then they were given a choice of the water or the addictive substance, and they all chose the water. They didn't require the addictive substance because life was already fun enough. And anyway, one of the best ways to take your life from zero to hero is by working out. Now, people also associate bodybuilding with balding. So a bunch of bodybuilders are bald, but you need to realize that bodybuilding directly does not cause balding. The bodybuilders take a bunch of steroids and that's why they get bald. And also they go through aggressive periods of losing weight or gaining weight. Sudden weight changes also increase the chance of going bald. Extremely long sessions of workouts would also again increase your stress hormone, which is then going to make you bald. You need to actually be working out less and you need to be working out very hard in that duration. Working out less but hard is much better than working out for very long but working out casually. And a bunch of bodybuilders also avoid fats. They think that fat would make you fat. I am promising you, you can eat as much of butter and ghee as you want. You try it out yourself for maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and I can promise you, you would feel better. Most of the brain fog that people have is simply a lack of ghee. Just drink a glass of ghee right now and you would feel that the brain fog is just gone. Your body starts producing hormones the way it's supposed to, and you would actually feel better, and it'll encourage you to work out and it'll improve your progress in the gym. And I don't even know why people associate bodybuilding with hair loss when there are a bunch of Indian uncles who are bald and they don't even know what a dumbbell is. They never even touched a dumbbell in their entire life. They don't even know what a gym is. Maybe they know what it is, but they never went to a gym and they're still bald. People also say that testosterone causes hair loss, but that's again all cope. It's just wrong. According to them, this person should have more testosterone than this person. In fact, this person may not even be natural looking at how much testosterone he might have. And this person might basically just be a girl. It doesn't really make sense, right? Now think of it this way. When you are in your teenage, when you are having the maximum testosterone you could possibly imagine, that's when you have a full head of hair. And in your old age, when your testosterone is actually coming down, that is when you start to lose hair. So what does that mean? Testosterone actually made you keep your hair, and losing testosterone made you lose your hair, right? So what's the correlation that you see? You see testosterone making you lose hair or gain hair? Testosterone is one of the best hormones you can aim for because testosterone is what most of the modern men lack. But anyway, if you have already lost a lot of hair, then it's going to be hard, honestly. I'm going to be honest. Recovering already lost hair is going to be hard. You can prevent further hair loss, but recovering your existing hair loss is going to be hard, okay? Getting a hair transplant is also not that straightforward. I suggest that if you are planning to get a hair transplant in the future, first do check out a bunch of existing people who have already had a hair transplant and made videos on it. Like people always say, prevention is better than cure. You should be paying constant attention to your hairline. You should make sure that it's not going back. Now, in teenage, in puberty, and a little bit after puberty, you would see a little bit of change. It might be like this and it might go a little like this, honestly. But after that, in fact, you should be paying attention to the top. If the top is going behind, then that's where you have a little bit of a problem, honestly. If the sides are getting affected, it doesn't really matter much, honestly, because that is just age, that is just maturing. That just happens. You can't affect it at all. Around 1 or 2 years ago, my hairline was a little sharper, but it faded a little bit, I guess. I don't really know. But it didn't really change much since then. So there are a bunch of other people as well who have said that during the age of 17, 18, 19, 20, the hairline changes a little bit, but then it doesn't change at all after that if they've done everything right. So especially you teenage kids who are a little scared, I suggest that you stop being scared and just do what I mentioned in this video. Now you can try using a derma roller. You will get it for quite cheap anywhere, but it doesn't really work as well. It will grow some baby hairs, but I'm going to be honest, the hair is not going to grow like a normal thick strand like the remaining hair that you have. It's going to be a baby hair forever. Using a derma roller along with something like finasteride or minoxidil could be beneficial, but it comes with side effects. Minoxidil and finasteride actually work by suppressing DHT. Now, DHT is a hormone in your body and it is very similar to testosterone. DHT is actually responsible for growing facial hair. So I grew a little bit of beard recently. There are a few reasons for it. DHT also helps you grow body hair. I grow a lot of body hair, honestly. But even more importantly, DHT is also responsible for the development of your private parts. So the only actual disadvantage of having too much DHT is the hair loss. And even that is not a direct correlation. So you actually want more DHT in general. Now, especially during puberty, if you start using products like minoxidil and finasteride, you're going to be lowering your DHT, which is then going to be lowering the length of your. And even after puberty, even when you are a full grown adult, even when you are 30 or 40 years old, taking minoxidil and finasteride have a few side effects that people talk about, which includes erectile dysfunction. Now, I don't really recommend going through the struggle of having low DHT. I don't really recommend that you use minoxidil or finasteride unless your hair loss is just extreme and you just need your hair back whatsoever. So you guys should just be paying attention to your warning signs in teenage, but you also need to be aware of what is a maturing hairline and what is a receding hairline. They are two different things. And also, guys, there is some hope. There is something that is called as PP405. So it is an upcoming experiment. I don't really know much about it, but it is said to have a completely reverse balding effect. It is said to genuinely bring back hair. So there is hope. Maybe in the future, hair loss can be completely reversed. Who knows? So guys, that is basically it for this video. Thanks for watching. If you think that this video was informative, helpful, beneficial, then do suggest this to someone else who can benefit from it. And also do like and subscribe. Also comment down below that what topic should I make the next video on. If there's a particular topic that you want to do the research on, but you're just too lazy to do it, just comment down below. I will take the effort of making it and I would give you the advice that actually works. If you know me, you would know that I tell you exactly what's true. I say what's supposed to be said. I don't care about the consequences. I say what's true and I say what actually works. And also guys, if it's been a long time since I've uploaded this video, do check the description or the pinned comment. There might be a link and the link would be extremely beneficial for you. I'm working on one thing and that thing would actually take a little long to get ready. But when it's ready, I want each and every one of you to pay attention to it because it's going to be extremely beneficial for each and every one of you. I can promise you it's going to be one of the best things ever. So anyway, thanks for watching and also comment down below about what you think about hair loss. Do you think it's genetic or do you think you can make changes to it? And videos like this take a lot of effort to do the research for. It takes a lot of energy to speak for very long. And also editing these videos takes a lot of time. So do subscribe to this channel if you don't want to miss out videos like this in the future. And thanks for watching and I'll see you all in the next video.